Hey friends, if you like the Nexus Podcast, the best way to continue the learning is to join our community. There are 3 ways to do that. First, you can join the Nexus Pro membership. It's our global community of smart building professionals. We have monthly events, paywall deep dive content, and a private chat room, and it's just $35 a month. Second, you can upgrade from the Pro membership to our courses offering. It's headlined by our flagship course, The Smart Building Strategist, and we're building a catalog of courses taught by world-leading experts on each topic under the Smart Buildings umbrella. Third, and finally, our marketplace is how we connect leading vendors with buyers looking for their solutions. The links are below in the show notes, and now let's go on to the podcast. Welcome back to the Nexus Podcast. It's James. I have Rosy and Brad with me. Say hi.
Hello.
Hello. How's it going?
How are you guys doing?
Fantastic.
Lame. How are you really doing, Brad?
Fantastic. It's Friday. I'm happy to be here.
That's good. I'm having a great day too. It was we had a lot of rain recently, and today is finally a sunny day, so I can't complain. So that's good.
I just thought of Bill Withers' Lovely Day.
Good song.
All right, welcome back to the podcast. This is our bi-weekly take on what's going on with the Nexus Labs community. So we'll walk you through what's going on with NexusCon and what's going on with our events and what we published in the last few weeks. As a reminder, we do the Nexus newsletter every week. So if you want the full take on everything, definitely subscribe there. What's going on at the Nexus, you guys?
Okay, I'll jump in first. So NexusCon planning and participation and all of that has been going really well, and people are really excited to come back, and we're super excited to have you all join us. Just a quick reminder that ticket prices are going up the end of June. So I'm not sure when you're going to hear this, but hopefully you'll hear it before that happens, and you can buy your ticket and get yourself registered and then book your hotel and so on. So if you have any questions, shoot us a note and we will try to help get those answered before that deadline happens.
So the tickets are going up in price by like $200, right?
Yeah,
so save $200 per person at your company.
That adds up.
Now's the time. We also did a webinar last week, and what I thought was cool about it was people had a lot of questions about the conference, but also, Rosy, you brought on 3 people from 3 different roles that talked about why they're returning this year. So we had Devin from Lockheed, we had Reed from McDonald Miller, service provider role, and then we had Elizabeth from R0 talking about why she's coming back to exhibit. And it made me feel so proud of this experience that we created that people want to come back to, which was cool to see.
We'll put the link to that webinar in case you weren't there. We'll put it in the show notes. It's also on the Nexus Labs LinkedIn. Like if you go there, you'll find a little clip and then you can watch the whole thing.
We need something from everyone that's listening to this. Let us know what you think about, if you come to NexusCon, what you think about a beginner's workshop explaining kind of the core frameworks to smart buildings before the conference starts. So kind of like a pre-conference workshop that kind of teaches a shorter version of our Smart Building Strategist course. Let us know what you think of that. So reach out to us on LinkedIn or send us an email. If you would take that, let us know. Because if you don't, let us know. We're not going to do it.
One other thing on the conference is it's been a long time coming, but by the time this podcast is published, the agenda will be complete and on our NexusCon website for people to view. So whether you've bought a ticket or not, go check it out. It gets me excited every time I look at it because there's some really good sessions that we're going to have and other things outside of sessions that we're going to do. It's going to be difficult to pick which room to be in at a lot of times, but please do check that out. It's we got a lot of good topics. It's going to be a good one.
The community swamped us in abstracts, so Brad has been swimming in all of your proposed presentations for the last 6 weeks, Brad? And
let's see. Yeah, about that.
You've done a really, really great job creating an agenda that's very intriguing. So yeah, people can check that out once this podcast comes out. Just go to our website.
Oh, and then that also reminded me, shout out to Drew DePriest who's speaking, because he's got a piece. He's going to be talking about uh, APIs and interoperability and like kind of red flags around APIs that building owners need to look out for. And he posted on LinkedIn like, "Hey, I'm going to be talking about this. Like, what do people think? What is the biggest issues they've seen?" So he's crowdsourcing his presentation via LinkedIn, which is like genius level. Other people should probably be doing that if they want to make good presentations, because I think he got a lot of good comments on, what to talk about.
Yeah, he got a lot of great comments. All right. Yeah. So thank you, Drew. Shout out to Drew. You are a beacon of the community. All right. Let's jump in. Let's talk about what we've published. A couple articles we're going to highlight here that people can dive into more deeply on our website. Let's start with operational technology. Brad, you had a piece about open source that you wrote, which got a lot of traction.
A lot.
Yeah, this one was so fun. It just has people have such strong opinions and like history on it. It was called "What is open source and building automation, and why building owners should care." And I learned so much throughout the process, honestly, that I didn't know as well. But we made an infographic for this that I think, you should read the article. But if you wanted to kind of grasp the situation, we've got a good image that shows it. And it's a spectrum. It's a complicated thing to say what is open source and building automation. So we kind of tried to show that spectrum from left to right, and just extremely briefly, like on the left, that's closed, that's proprietary. That's kind of where the industry started in like the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s of proprietary protocols, and everything's closed down, and it's really hard to get service because only one person can service your system. And it was really difficult for a lot of building owners. And then you start to move to the right, and like open communication is one of the first things that people start to talk about, which, backnet is the common phrase that comes to mind. As devices from different manufacturers can all speak backnet. Now things can talk together, but you're not there yet. Then you get into like product sales and software licensing, and that's the point where there's competition across the vendors. So different people can actually get into the systems and service them and configure them. And you're getting this competition across vendor to vendor. And then you get into open tools where you actually don't even have to pay for the tool. Whatever you need to use to actually configure that device or get into the back end, it's free to access. And then finally, all the way to the right side is like true open source, as they talk about in the IT world or in software development, where all the way down to the source code of how the system runs is openly available and updatable. So yeah, and it's a spectrum, and a lot of, one thing I learned across this whole journey in this article is that maybe you don't want to be fully open source. Like there's a lot of like, there's benefit to being there, but then there's service providers or technology vendors who will wrap something that's somewhat proprietary on top to give you value. Strato Automation commented on the article. They were one of the people we interviewed, and they build their system on Node-RED, which is a completely open source programming model. But they have OCN Plus, which is like they put this wrapper that helps you use Node-RED effectively in HVAC controls. So it gets really confusing on what's open source, what's not open source, and there's a lot of strong opinions. But generally, the consensus was more open means better competition, means better for everybody. What do you guys think?
Oh, it's a great piece. And I love the infographic. I agree. People should go just check it out because it explains so much of the article just in a visual form. So well done on that. It reminds me of, I want to do a shout out to David Blanche, who's the CTO of Bitpool down in Australia. We did an interview with him, which you cited, I think you linked to in the article, Brad. And the point that he made was, other industries have been transformed by open source by, like, it's about giving building owners choice, yes, but it's also about using technologies in your stack that are more common with technologists and increase the pool of people that could work on your tech stack, right? Versus like today, like there are a lot of barriers to working on your tech stack in the buildings industry. You have to have a license, you have to go through training, and it's all around these different, proprietary ecosystems usually that when you install a proprietary system, you've now limited the number of people that could work on your building, right? Versus the open source movement is about increasing that pool of people that could work on your building. And I think that was the main takeaway for me that harkens back to what David said, many years ago when we interviewed him.
Related to that point, it was really interesting. A concept I hadn't heard about or thought about was how this relates to LLMs as well. So to your point, you're closing people off from being able to do work in this industry because we've got proprietary systems. But also, if you ask ChatGPT to help you code in a proprietary system, it's going to hallucinate because it doesn't have the open source information to work off it. Whereas if you ask it for support in Node-RED or Python or something like that, it has unlimited options to go search from, which then is another thing that breaks down the barrier to entry to people actually working on these systems.
Yeah. Not to mention the modeling piece, which you have in there, open metadata, like the ability for an AI to understand what the system is doing and what it means is a lot more difficult when you have proprietary stuff going on. I'll just leave this as a little tease for everyone. You can go to our LinkedIn in the comments, or my LinkedIn when we shared this article, the comments. There's a lot of debate and sort of, I'd say myth busting, I guess, around Niagara, being the biggest platform that everyone's using. So definitely go down that rabbit hole if you're interested or you're using Niagara today. It seems like everybody thinks that everybody uses Niagara and Open interchangeably, and this article helps you figure out where exactly is that line. And I think that's an interesting discussion that we don't need to go into right now.
Yeah.
All right, next one we had another article you wrote, Brad. Brad's been pumping them out while he's doing the agenda for the conference, which is great. It's called Rewiring, Design, and Construction. You want to give us an overview there?
Yeah, sure. So the concept here was that we have some technology vendors in our community that are doing some pretty amazing things of trying to bring integration way earlier into the conversation when you're building a new building or you're retrofitting a building. The two examples that we kind of highlighted within the piece were Overcast Innovation. They make these, they call them clouds as their product. And think of a ceiling tile, but it's got all the electromechanical pieces inside of it before it even gets to the job site. So all of your HVAC controls, the damper, the diffuser, the fire safety equipment, if they're the lighting, if there's an occupancy sensor, Wi-Fi, all those things are put into AV as well. It's all put into the ceiling panel, the cloud, offsite. Everybody gets it working perfectly, and then they kind of just lift it into place. So the genius of it is that it's bringing the conversation of these pieces working together and integrating together way earlier into the construction of the building. Because usually, the ceiling is up and then everyone's like, okay, I need to get wires going and get my devices connected. So really unique solution there to move things forward. Then the other one is Domatic, which is a startup out of California that has created a 50-volt DC bus system. So this powers all your IoT devices, and they like to compare it to the USB of IoT devices, where you plug in this wire, this 50-volt, 18-gauge single wire, and you've got power to pretty much all of your IoT devices, and it's automatically communicating as well. So now you're bringing all of the Division 23, communications, all those things into the electrician's work or somebody's work who's powering the device too. So that's also bringing it upstream. And so those are two really, cool, unique products that are kind of changing the way you'd look at integrating devices within a building. I wanted to ask you guys though, again, this one got good attention on James's LinkedIn. One of the comments, I don't know Bram Leitgen, but I liked his comment. He said, MSIs usually have skin in the game, so they're not always best suited to offer advice here, which I thought was really interesting. If an MSI's job is to integrate all these pieces together, could they have a little bit of bias against these new products that are kind of doing a lot of this integration more seamlessly? Is it taking their jobs in some ways? What do you guys think?
Well, it obviously depends on the MSI, right? So when we interview Brian Turner at OTI. The way that Brian would say this, and he'll text me if I'm wrong, but I think I'm right. They have a toolkit, like for every use case they're trying to enable for a building owner. They have vendors that they know work. They've done it before. They've integrated them together. They've enabled this use case with this toolkit of vendors or technologies or whatever. They're not benefiting, but it is easier because they know they're not benefiting financially by using those products, but it is easier because they know and they've done it before, right? And so they're going to prefer that. There's less uncertainty, right, around that. There are other MSIs though that right, they're coming to the market with a product that they resell, right, that solves the problem, but they're benefiting financially from using that, right? And I'm not saying anybody does that or anybody doesn't, but that's definitely in the market where you're coming to market as an MSI and your main goal is to use this exact platform and get the building owner to install that platform or this technology or whatever. And so I think Brahm, is that how you say his name, Brahm?
I said Brown. I don't know if that's right.
Yeah, I think Brahm is right, because what you're talking about with these technologies is like actually changing the way that construction's done and knocking down some of the silos in the construction process, right? And if you're coming in here with a hammer and everything looks like a nail, right? Then these things are over here, a screwdriver, and you're like, I don't even know how to take that.
The business like analogy or the business term I always hear that comes to mind with the way you're explaining MSIs is like playing offense in business rather than playing defense. An MSI that's playing defense here is like, oh, we got to avoid these things. It's taking our work. An MSI that's playing offense is like, people are going to come to me because I'm going to know which technologies integrate faster from the beginning. I'm going to get in front of this. I'm going to be the one who knows how to install Domatic and Overcast. And that's going to, get me more business because people are going to realize how I'm picking out the technologies that are integrating from the beginning. So,
yeah. And it goes both ways too, right? They might test out those technologies and they might wait because they're new and it's a new building and like you don't want to install something that's not going to be around, and like there's a bunch of things they're weighing as the technologists, right, that are needed. I think when you wrote this article, what I thought about is similar, which is we've done, I don't know, Brad, what do you think, like 10 different content pieces around, including at the conference, around changing the construction process to be better at enabling smart buildings. And almost all of those are all about better coordination, getting the consultant on board, getting the integrator involved earlier. They're all like humans talking, right? Like talk better, right? Or like change the process, right? This is more like, okay, we're not going to change the process. We're just going to use different technologies, right? That aren't siloed. They're connected by design. So I think that's good to like start bringing in these different ways in which the construction process can get transformed. And I think the article was great.
Yeah, that's a good point. Beyond just talking, because as we know, just talking or collaborating doesn't always result in the action that we need to be taken.
Yeah. And both of these companies talked a lot about like how big change management is to convince people that this is the right thing to do, but they're forced to. Like it's like an afterthought of like, you did this project, do you realize how cool it was that you were able to do this all like in this new way? Let's all get on the same page that this is a great way to do it. So yeah, it really forces it early on.
It's also going to be a big education game for them, for these companies. A lot of folks don't even know that these technologies exist, right? And so as a baseline, it's like, hi, we're here, and then here's how we can make your work easier, better, more efficient, and so on. So yeah, I'm glad that we can be part of that storytelling of just raising brand awareness that they even exist to begin with.
Yeah. I think we should continue to cover this topic, but maybe branch out beyond the service provider answer. No offense to the service providers, but maybe we need to start covering it from a different angle. Like, what does the developer think? What does the GC think? What's the operator think when they get handed this building that doesn't have these sensors that would have been in this, overcast cloud panel, right? If they would have thought about that, right? So we'll continue to talk about it.
I think it's a great topic.
All right, what's next?
Okay, next we have a recording. So if you haven't been keeping up, we have all of our NexusCon 2024 recordings on our website now. So if you're a pro member, you can kind of digest all of last year's NexusCon on your own time, which is really cool. There's some amazing stuff in there, and nobody saw all of it. So every person out there has something to see.
Good point, Brad.
Yeah. So
this is one of the craziest things, though. Someone could pay $35 and they could watch every presentation from NexusCon last year.
That's correct.
It's a deal, guys. It's
How
a
are
deal.
we in business? It's crazy.
I don't know. Our last one that we posted since we kind of went chronological is the closing keynote. So I have a clip here. I was joking before the podcast. I know it's going to make James cringe because it's a recording of him. But just to tee it up a little bit, he's been talking about crossing the chasm and how we accelerate the adoption of these technologies in our buildings. And in this minute 30, he's talking about what building owners can do and what technology vendors can do to speed this up. So give it a listen and then we'll chat about it.
Like, we're one industry right now. And so I had some ideas on how we might start. So I think buyers can work together more. So not only sharing like we just talked about, but also setting up buyer consortia. We have a little bit of that going on, but I'd really love to see more buyers get together and say, here's what we need, unifying requirements, validating vendor claims all together. Vendors participating in creating transparency in the marketplace. That's what we want to see out of you guys over the next year. Help us help you guys get the buyers at the table. Partner with each other. We did a Petra Kucha with two of our partners showing how you can fulfill a use case together. I would love to see more of that. And then we had a session yesterday that in the champions track around creating playbooks. I think a lot of people try to create a playbook that's based on their technology alone. Well, newsflash, there's 90 plus different technologies in our marketplace, and there's 40 something plus vendors here today. There is no smart buildings roadmap that includes one type of technology. And so continuing to work together to create roadmaps that include which technologies enable other technologies, right? We have plenty of content around that. We have plenty of content around use cases that are enabled by multiple different vendors. And so continue to partner, continue to put together multi-tech playbooks so that buyers can have some idea on what they should do first and next.
So cool. Real quick, I think the buyer part got cut a little short, but another thing that you said before I think the clip started was about buyers being actually willing to share their success stories and like tell people what worked. But I want to ask you guys, like that was what, 7 months ago now, 8 months ago? Are we seeing this happen? Are we getting there? Are people doing these things that James called them out for here?
I will say, let's start with the positives. Our building owner meetups that we've been doing for 3 months now, I think when you step into one of those breakout rooms, it's a little bit awkward at first. Everyone's kind of feeling each other out. But at this past month, we let it go for what, 30 minutes, Brad?
35. Yeah.
35 minutes that, you'd have 10 building owners in a breakout room. And they do get into the weeds there, and they do start to share what's actually going on. And so I think we are making inroads. I will say a lot of the stuff that I was challenging everyone is to like come and participate with what we're doing. And I think we kind of spent the last 8 months kind of operationalizing the conference. Like the conference worked for us and we want to keep doing it. And so we were creating the processes that allow us to keep doing that, and not necessarily focusing on industry transformation as much in the last 8 months. But I still think what I was challenging everyone to do is still extremely valid. What do you guys think?
Yeah, no, I think so for sure. I mean, I think people are doing some of those things, maybe just as much as they were before, or slightly more. I think the point you said about partnering with others and like creating that playbook that isn't just about, your one category or like your one technology is super important. Um, and I am seeing some more of that. And even sometimes I see it, we have our partners in the Nexus community, right? So our partners are the vendors that we work with, that we get to tell their stories and hear what they're doing and so on. And so what ends up happening sometimes, which is so fun for me, is they connect with each other because they are partners of ours. And so because they're in the Nexus community, they, ask me to connect them to another CEO or founder or whatever. And then they end up connecting and finding ways to collaborate together and work together. And so sometimes you just need a little bit of that push. And so the fact that we provide that is awesome, and kind of helps people, it helps accelerate that partnering up. And so, I'd love to find more ways for us to facilitate that. And so we're constantly trying to find ways to make those types of introductions for the companies that we work with, because it's so valuable. So I think that's one thing that stands out from your list, James, as something I definitely see happening. Like, we have Normal working with a bunch of other partners in our community. We have R0 working with other companies. Like, there's just so much collaboration happening, which is really fun. Neve is a great one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say the same thing, Rosy. Like, that's out of all the things that James mentioned in the clip, the biggest indicator I have is these technology vendors being like, okay, we just do this. Like, who can help us as another tech vendor to do these other parts of it so that it's even a stronger offering? We see a lot of that. I can't say that I've seen building owners be more willing to share their story. It's probably like about the same as it was last year. And I was thinking about that. I was reflecting on it. And it's funny because, like, if you're a big organization and you're in charge of the smart building piece, you might really want to share your story, but that's not the person who's like unwilling. It's like all these other parts of the department that are slowing them down. Whoa, marketing won't allow that. Legal won't allow that. And it's like, it's just so frustrating to not be able to tell other people what worked and what didn't work.
I will say though, like your agenda that you're putting together, our agenda that you're putting together, you're turning away case studies. Like,
yeah.
Like, and I will say you had a bunch of building owners submit abstracts to talk about their own success stories. So there is some, more than we had last year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah. And when a building owner submits an abstract of their own case study and there's not even like a service provider or tech vendor involved, that's when it's like someone who genuinely cares to share the story. Like, there's they just care about it and want other people to learn from it. It's cool to see. Yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome.
I think it's funny, like, listening to that back again. And I think it's funny that I said the word consortia. Like, I would never use that in a sentence for some reason.
Yeah, I was like, where do you get that from?
To put that on a slide, apparently. What's funny to me is that challenge is probably like a 10-year challenge for the industry. And I was just like saying it like it is, but I don't know if I expected there to be any progress on a lot of those things in 8 months,
Yeah.
Right.
I might just have to pull that slide up again for everyone.
I think you should.
This fall. Yeah.
We may need to vote of like where are we at now versus last year or something.
Yeah. Okay, next, Rosy's rant. Rosy, what do you got for us?
Okay, so I mean, there's so much to rant about all the time, and it's so hard for me to pick what to talk about. But if you don't know what this is basically where I pull from my experience, my background in startups and marketing, to talk about something in our industry that is like sort of irking me or that I hope can change. And so the one I want to talk about today is one that James highlighted on his LinkedIn, and some of you saw that post, which was about product demos, where he calls it like what's the word you use?
Mad scientisting.
Which
I think Brad coined that, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, I love it. And I think it's a great term. And it's really when someone is showing you product demo and they just go into every nook and cranny of your solution in a way that's way beyond what the person watching even wants to know. And so, James, I'll let you go off for a second and then I will add my thoughts.
Well, I just think like smart buildings platforms, software, they do a lot of things. And like, if you have 15 minutes to sell your situation to a potential buyer, Number one, don't take 35 minutes. Number two, like show the outcomes and show like the high level result of what your product does and prove that it can be done, prove that it's real. But you don't need to click on every button. You don't need to show me every screen, every dashboard, every view, every analytic. Show me the back end. Like stop all of that. So that's my piece. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. I think one way to like sort of remedy this is when you're getting close to the end of the time of the allotted time for your demo, you can always ask the person that's watching your demo, ask them like, is there something I didn't show you that you would like to see? For example, I could quickly show you the back end. I could show you how work orders are submitted. I could show you how it looks on a phone. I could like, I don't know, right? Like whatever, suggest some things and then let the person choose their own adventure in terms of how they want this demo to end and like what nerdy thing do they want to see, if anything. And maybe they're like, no, this is helpful. Like, can we talk about some of your success stories? Then it's like they want
your
out of that.
Rosie, that they should do that up front. They should ask that up front.
Yes, definitely ask it up front also for sure. For sure. Yeah, I would ask up front, like, what are they hoping to get out of this demo? And people are usually, you know, if they've got to the point where they've already booked a demo with you, they have a sense of what they're looking for. Like, oh, I'd like to understand, you know, how you showcase leak detection or something, whatever, right? And then it's like, okay, let's zoom in on that first, and then I'll show you all of the other capabilities that we have.
And I think we can all admit that like we love our industry and we love our partners, but of all of our partners, many of them do this like to us when they're showing us what they do, right? They go into this mode. And I think it's a little bit of like most of the people in our industry are talking to all the time are in the smart buildings bubble. But I think what people don't realize is a lot of times you're giving a demo and that person is outside of the smart buildings bubble. We are a bubble. We are very insulated. The words we use, the acronyms we use, the stuff we talk about is smart buildings bubble things. And then when you're giving the demo, you're talking to a facility manager, for example, and 95% of their life is not spent thinking about technology in any way. They're thinking about why is that toilet leaking? And why can't I just get this vendor to do what I say and like fill out the work order properly? And I gotta redo our budget for next month or what? Like they're thinking about all these other things that aren't in the smart buildings bubble, and the demo should be acknowledging that you're outside the bubble, right?
Yeah, that's great advice. And that starts with asking good questions to begin with.
I think one last thought on that is it doesn't correlate. The amount of effort or genius that you put into developing something does not correlate to how much value that it's adding to your customer. So like if you're the developer of this thing and you're like, man, this part was the smartest thing that I ever thought about or the hardest part to build in my system, your bias is like, I better show them that I flipped it so you can look at it this way with these analytics and you're excited about it because it's your science project that you put together that was really hard. But like maybe the value's all over there at the part that you're really bored about because you look at every day and it's not this new thing. Like you got to be able to separate those two pieces from one another.
So true.
I feel like we could talk about this all day. One last thing is I feel that demos should be more grounded in actual workflows of actual humans. Yeah. So like start the demo by saying, this is the human's life we're changing.
100%.
And then here's the workflow that we're changing. And here's a demo of that workflow change, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times it's like it's too big.
It's like throw the kitchen sink at me, and then me as someone who is supposed to buy this has to figure out for you how I'm supposed to use this. Like, why don't you do the work for me? You know, I'm a facility manager, so you know what my pain points are. You know what I'm thinking about. You know what your thing is supposed to solve for me. Do just like close the gap and make it easy for me to understand how this is going to help me.
So you might say today your technician does this workflow and here's how they do it.
And this is how long it takes them.
Yeah, whatever.
And now using this, it's going to take them less time.
Like with our product. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's call it there. Let's close with carve outs.
Okay, I'll go first because I never get to go first.
Go.
Yeah, and that's my turn today. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so my carve out is a TV show, and I was joking that I don't always watch like new TV shows, but anyways, this is new. You can watch it now. It's called Sirens. Yes. Have you seen
I'm
it?
watching that. I'm
Oh,
watching
cool.
that, and
I won't
I don't
do any
particularly
favors.
I'm
think it's
done
very
with it.
good.
I already finished it.
You finished it?
Finished it already.
You watched it? That doesn't even
Is it
seem like
good?
something you watch.
It's really good. It's really good. Yeah.
Okay, I don't know about really good. I just think it's a good. It's fine-ish. Okay, I don't know about really good. It's
I think it's really good.
it's interesting. There's some thought-provoking concepts in it. So if you haven't seen it, you should watch it. I think to say one thing that's not a blooper is it makes you rethink who you as a person look up to and who you think is the villain. There's like some themes
Yeah.
around that and how you can rethink those things.
What do you think blooper means, Rosie?
Oh, spoiler! I meant I meant spoiler. I meant spoiler. That's good.
Okay, cool. Mine is a TV show too. It's Stick on Apple TV with Owen Wilson.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that yet.
Show about he's like a washed up former golf prodigy that has gone through some hard times, and now he's coaching a young 17-year-old prodigy, and so it's hilarious. It's really good. Mark Maron's in it, who's a cool comedian, really funny guy as well. So
Cool.
check that out.
I'm audibling at the last second. You guys convinced me to do a show. I watched this a little bit ago, but have you seen The Studio with Seth Rogen?
Nope.
No?
No.
Oh, you got it. It's so good. It's so funny. But one thing that's really cool is that I think it's episode 2 is called The Oneer. And I didn't know this, but in Hollywood, a oneer is like when you do a whole, like a really long scene without cutting. So you just keep moving the camera. You keep going, you keep going, you keep going.
Filmed like that.
And there's a lot.
Oh, there's okay.
But it's like a style, and it's like, you're more pro if you do it. But it's like the way that Seth Rogen did it is that the show is all about a studio. So they're in the show, they're recording a movie, and the whole scene in episode 2 is about a oneer that they're recording. But then the actual show, the studio does a oneer through it too. So it's about this oneer that's occurring, but in real life, the show is shooting a oneer, and you're like, watch. It's pretty cool.
But just for that episode.
Very meta.
I think they do a lot of them, but in that particular episode, there's only like 2 or 3 cuts throughout the whole like 35 minutes. So it's all about them filming this oneer while a oneer's actually occurring in real life while they're shooting it. It's kind of cool.
That's awesome. Oh, Lost in London is the one I'm talking about.
It's a oneer?
Yes, it's a oneer.
Nice. I'll have to check that out.
There's a show on Netflix called Adolescence.
That too is a oneer.
The oneer, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's wild. Those are wild. When you're watching, I'm like, how the fuck did this happen?
Yeah, and if someone screws up at like the very end of it too, just reset the whole thing.
Yeah. Really? I don't even, I guess so. It's wild.
All right. Ending this episode. We'll see you all in a couple weeks.
Thanks for listening.
See you guys.
Bye.
Later.
Okay, friends, thank you for listening to this episode. As we continue to grow our global community of changemakers, we need your help. For the next couple of months, we're challenging our listeners to share a link to their favorite Nexus episode on LinkedIn with a short post about why you listen. It would really, really help us out. Make sure to tag us in the post so we can see it. Have a good one.